Oh, you're listening to Diasporic Music on Black Power 96 with Melinda Francis, and Lisa Watson is on the buttons, and we are speaking with, or speaking to Professor Rupert Charles Lewis, uh, and Marcus Garvey, expert and an expert on African uh, African history, and we have been interviewing Professor Lewis for many moons, and uh, we wanted to welcome Rupert Lewis to the show. And the first thing I wanted to find out, Rupert Lewis, is, you know, what can we expect from you? What do you have in the works in the next little while? You know, what can we look forward to? You coming up with articles or books or films or whatever you want to talk about?
Well, I we just contributed a chapter to a book entitled Marcus Garvey, Pedagogy and the Power of Education. And that was edited by my colleague, Professor Clinton Houghton, and the president of the oldest tertiary institution in the Caribbean, Ashburn Pinnock, who is president of the Michael University. And why this is important is that not only is the Michael University the oldest, but also it is the major teacher training institution. And as a president of this particular college, we have delved into, as one of the editors, he delved into the using the intellectual legacy of Marcus Garvey as a source to think about education. My essay in that book is called Garvey's Pedagogy. And what I've extracted really is the elements of Garvey's teaching on education from early childhood until adulthood. What were the elements that constituted the philosophical assumptions on which the Garveyites educated their children? They had a question and answer for youth or early childhood, which went into African history, which went into their origins prior to the plantation, to enable them to have a sense of themselves as creators. So we draw on Garvey's very rich intellectual legacy in order to develop a pedagogy of education, which we think is valid for the 21st century. So that is what my most kind of recent essay. Hello?
Oh, I'm here.
Hello?
Listening very.
Okay,
I'm here, listening very carefully.
Okay, fine. So, Dr. Julius Garvey, who I want to say something more about, also wrote an essay called Garvey's Experience, the Power of Education. And I've also recently submitted a book chapter to a history of Jamaica, where I go through the 1920s and 30s in the island to demonstrate the way in which British colonialism functioned in a racial way to subordinate black people, going through the educational system, the worship of Queen Victoria every day on her birthday in May. All the schools in the Caribbean paid obeisance to the British sovereign. And George Lamin captures this in his famous 1953 novel, In the Castle of My Skin. So I have been concerned with getting the message of Garvey into the educational system. And much of my writing now is geared towards that. I'm also editing a collection of Jamaica's, Garvey's Jamaican writings, because he did spend a good bit of his life in the island, both before he went to the United States and after his deportation. But I see therefore that aspect of his work needs to be better known, because whilst in Jamaica, he is concerned not only with Jamaican issues, but also concerned with traveling to Geneva to the League of Nations to struggle for the independence of African states, the right to self-determination, so that I continue to find ways of enabling people to understand the extraordinarily rich legacy that he has left behind. Unfortunately, there is another generation of scholars who have been writing on Garvey, and a book which I recently came across was a book by Eric McDuffie called The Second Battle for Africa, Garveyism, the U.S. Heartland, and Global Black Freedom, which really is a study of the Garvey movement in the Midwest of the United States. So when we're dealing with Garvey, we are really faced with a transnational figure. I recently saw where one of Malcolm X's daughters published a photograph of her grandfather, Earl Little, who was in the UNIA, and a copy of the letter he wrote to the President of the United States, calling on him to free Garvey. I think it was Calvin Coolidge, then the president. So I am enjoying reading what a younger generation is coming up with, and also having my own work being published. But let me comment on one of Marcus Garvey's sons and the work that he has been doing, which is truly phenomenal. Marcus Garvey, Dr. Julius Garvey, spent his life as a thoracic surgeon in the United States, largely in New York. He was born August 16th, 1933, a day before his own father's birth date, which is August 17th. He is now aged 92, and he is truly a brilliant traveler and author in his own right. I think he was in the Caribbean, in St. Kitts, Nevis, and Antigua, where these governments honored him and named places after Antiguans who were active in the Garvey movement. One of them was Bishop Maguire. But Dr. Julius Garvey also was spearheaded a very important drum roll, which there was drumming on August 17th, which was a Sunday, simultaneously in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Kingston, Port of Spain, London, Accra, Lagos, Johannesburg, Nairobi, and that is now documented for those who missed it on YouTube. You go on YouTube and you can see the Institute for the Black World co-sponsored it along with Dr. Julius Garvey's own Institute for Human Development. But in addition, Julius Garvey has also in 2021, he took a selection of philosophy and opinions. The philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, compiled by his mother in 1923 and 1925, was revised by him in a smaller edition, revised by Dr. Julius Garvey for the 21st century. In 2024, he wrote his own book called Be Woke, which is basically a philosophy of the mind that he has developed out of his father's writings. In 2024, he edited Justice for Marcus Garvey, Look for Me in the Whirlwind, with a foreword by Ta-Nehisi Coates. That book was instrumental in the work towards the pardoning which President Biden gave towards the end of his term in office. So Julius has developed a body of work which is connected now to the attempt again at seeking an exoneration for his father. And in August this month, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, a Caribbean American representative from Brooklyn and chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, introduced the Marcus Garvey Legacy Package, a two-part legislative effort aimed at fully clearing Garvey's name and honoring his legacy. That legislative package is in two parts. House Resolution 654, called the Marcus Garvey Exoneration Resolution, declares Garvey innocent of the politically motivated mail fraud charges from 1923 and urges the President to take all appropriate measures to fully exonerate him. And House Resolution 655 is the Marcus Garvey Recognition Day Resolution, which designates August 17th as Marcus Garvey Recognition Day, calling for national observance through educational and cultural events. So I pay tribute to the continued work of Julius Garvey, who continues his father's historic contribution to our liberation. And what I want to point out to listeners is that the Garvey family, from his wife, Amy Jakes Garvey, who lived from 1896 to 1973, and who was the single most important individual to perpetuate through the thought opinions and through her writings, memory of Garvey, through to Marcus Garvey Jr., an engineer who was a very militant activist, both in Jamaica and in the United States, an engineer by profession, and now Dr. Julius Garvey. And we hope that their children will continue this legacy, this extraordinarily rich legacy of family support for Marcus Garvey and for how we rebuild in the 21st century.
You're listening. Sorry, did I cut you off? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please.
No, I wanted to say that I went to Los Angeles City College, and one of my comrades there was a young woman who was lived in Jamaica till she was 3, and she came to the United States. And I remember I gave her the Swahili name of Kidogo, because she was Kidogo means little one, so she was a very very short little woman from Jamaica. But I wanted to turn it over to Melinda.
Yeah. I guess my question is to connect it to sort of what's upcoming at the summit and with CARICOM and AU and just upcoming reparations. Connected to the reparations that the reparation work that everybody's doing at the summit, but beyond that as well.
Yeah, well, the Afrexim Bank chair was present in Trinidad for emancipation celebration. And Trinidad has the most broad-based marking of emancipation. Their Emancipation Support Committee was the one in the 1980s, 40 years ago, that led the Caribbean in introducing the marking of August 1st as a calendar event and national and regional holiday. And at those events, the chairman of Afrexim Bank was present, and they are being, Trinidad had an election in April, so they have a new prime minister. The prime minister is 73-year-old Indian Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and she was in her African robes welcoming the Afrexim Bank person. Now, this is highly significant because in racially polarized Trinidad and Guyana, I think the leaders of both these countries, whether they are of African or Indian origin, recognize the centrality of Africa, of Emancipation Day. And although it has taken many decades, I think we are in a better position where the recognition of the things that matter to the African population in August, that those things cannot be slighted, cannot be marginalized, cannot be put one side. So it's important to know this because it has taken time for this to evolve in the Caribbean. Specifically on the AU and the Caribbean, we are now in a season of general elections. So the Guyanese population and the Jamaican population have had the main political parties campaigning for power. In the case of, but I don't think that whoever comes out on top, for example, in the Jamaican election, I don't think that it will fundamentally affect Jamaica's relationship with the African Union or Jamaica's relationship with Afrexim Bank, which is accepted by both political institutions. I can't say with certainty the same for Guyana. Jamaica's election is on September 3rd. Guyana's election is September 1st. Guyana's oil revenue makes it one of the wealthiest, potentially wealthiest countries in the region, and also makes it the wealthiest country in the CARICOM region. They have now been able to implement policies for free education from early childhood through to university, arising from the oil boom. So their attitude towards the Frexim Bank may not be the same as the Jamaican government. And Ghana is more polarized politically than I would say Trinidad is, because the Trinidad political party that won the election in April has strong support from the African population as well. The three parties in the Ghana, which will be contesting the elections, are the People's Progressive Party, which used to be a Marxist-Leninist party, but which abandoned that and is now more or less a mainstream party. And then there is the main opposition is called a Partnership for National Unity, which combines the old People's National Congress of Forbes Burnham and the party of Walter Rodney, Working People's Alliance, and other parties. So those structures are more divided along ethnic lines. And whenever you have state resources improving considerably, then the electoral battles are going to be pretty fiercely contested. But I think within the Ghana situation and their conflict with Venezuela, who claims much of the maritime territory where that oil is being mined, has led to President Donald Trump deploying U.S. warships to the Caribbean, specifically near Venezuelan waters. That happened in this month. It's alleged that Trump alleges that this is part of a counter-narcotics operation, but in our view, the motivations and implications go far deeper than just drug interdiction. What surprised most Caribbean countries and the population was that the new Prime Minister of Trinidad, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, offered staging posts for the U.S. Now, the only other time in the recent Caribbean history when this was the case was in the 1983 Reagan invasion of Grenada, when a number of Caribbean states invited the U.S. and gave the pretext for its entry in. So there is definite worry about the willingness of the Trinidad Prime Minister to offer a staging post to the U.S. This is obviously playing a game, but a very dangerous one, which undermines sovereignty. So Black August sees the Caribbean faced with the might and power of the Trump administration, which does not respect sovereignty, even of large states, far less of the small states that are in the region. So that is really more than cause for concern, but cause for people awakening and for international solidarity with respect to the freeze on any invasion of any territory in the region.
You're listening to Diasporic Music on Black Power 96. We are on the line with Professor Rupert Lewis and Melinda. You have some more questions, I presume?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, basically, I guess, like within the region, now that we have, troops being deployed to the region, what is the word from the other leaders, and have you heard anything? And yeah, what's sort of what the other, CARICOM countries are saying, because it seems like they're kind of silent on it.
They have been silent, but I think one has to await the Jamaican elections because Parliament is now prorogued. I don't think there's going to be any statement until after September 3rd, and for Guyana, September 1st. I think at the present time, Barbados is having celebrating CARIFesta, which is a regional cultural festival, and Prime Minister Mayor Motley, who has been the most outspoken person on matters of sovereignty, to the best of my knowledge, has not made any statement on this. So I await discussion from CARICOM in the coming weeks, because at least one of their members has stated quite clearly that the U.S. is welcome to use their territory as a staging post. So I think the matter will be discussed, and I think a statement will be made. One should therefore remember that Grenada's political leadership is also under a lot of scrutiny by the Secretary of State. One of their ministers had all his visas struck down because of Grenada's relationship with Cuban medical personnel. So far, most Caribbean states who have been faced with that issue, for example, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent, said that he's prepared to give up his visa because the Cubans are providing valuable service in health, and therefore they're not prepared to they meet the Cuban. Yeah, let me just conclude on the reparation side. I have been a member of the National Council on Reparation, and we are now at a point where we're hoping that after the election on September the 3rd, the legal claim to King Charles III of England, of the United Kingdom, will be forwarded by the Jamaican cabinet. And that's a claim that we have been working on for several years. Yesterday, we had a 5-hour meeting with a body called the Repair Campaign out of the United Kingdom. And that meeting was to discuss an entire development of the 10-point plan of CARICOM. That is to say, to put flesh on issues of health, issues of education, issues of infrastructure, in terms of what we would like to see happen with reparation payment. There are two questions that we, however, make a distinction with. Our claim is based on compensation to the ancestors who were in the slave trade and who were enslaved. And secondly, to the descendants. The development plan, therefore, that is being worked on at the moment by the National Council. In all national councils of the Caribbean, throughout all the CARICOM countries, 14 to 15, specific national plans are being developed. These plans deal with not only the categories mentioned, education, health, but seek reduction in debt, because a lot of Caribbean development financing has been financed through debt. And then when you have to repay, that creates a big hole in terms of your budget. So the Repair campaign is partnering with national councils. And the Repair campaign, which is based in Europe, brings together groups and individuals who have been organizing meetings with the European Parliament in Brussels and meetings with the British Parliament in London. So where we are in terms of the reparations campaign is both following through on the legal claim, which involves, of course, not only the apology, but the claim for payment, as well as developing the program that gives flesh to the 10-point plan that was developed in 2013 by CARICOM. So we're looking forward to the post-election period in the region to proceed more clearly and directly with the claim that will be made to different European governments. In the case of Suriname, that is Holland, and also claims by Haiti on France. That would be the focus.
And you are listening to Diasporic Music. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, well, that's it. We just call on listeners to be mindful of the region as it faces military intervention. We know that the American population itself and their struggles against the Trump policies that have had a adverse effect on people's lives. And one has to build the solidarities that are necessary, especially for Black people, to better their lives and the lives of our children and grandchildren, who are the focus of what we as grandparents and parents are about. I mean, once you have that picture of that 10-year-old, that 15-year-old, it helps to frame all the things we struggle for. So the building of solidarities of support, the sharing of information may seem small in their impact, but they contribute to an awareness that is necessary for us to be able to organize and to implement policies and influence political representation, which has such huge implications for our future.
And with that, I would like to say thank you, and we will definitely be calling on you again, sir.
Yeah. Thanks very much, and all the best.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to